Hey, sorry for taking so long to get back to this. And yeah, I'm actually not in a good state today, so I'm just gonna do my best to get through this. Yeah, I've kind of lost track of what I've already talked about, but I think Centrelink was the next thing. Yeah, I mentioned in a community post that things went better than expected, so that's good. But what actually happened? So the day before, I went and saw my GP, and I was really in a bad way. We talked about stuff and yeah, the main things we did were like get a new referral for psychology for this year, and then also the Centrelink medical certificate, and just going over, I think, the things that I talked about in one of my longer videos. And then so Centrelink called. They called early, half an hour early, so I'm glad I got up even earlier just to try and make sure I was awake enough. That's frustrating, when they say they'll call at a certain time and then, yeah, they sort of screw with plans. And, as someone who struggles with the morning, yeah, anyway, on the upside, at least it got it over and done with, so let's not nitpick the timing too much. Because otherwise I would have just spent an extra half hour feeling stressed, so, I get it, rip off the band-aid, just be done with it. Yeah, so, and like with the call, so in the letter that they sent me, they had said that they were going to make me sign a job plan, which is where all the stress came from. But when the lady actually, started talking to me, she did say, oh, actually, we're calling because you had this employment assessment and we're supposed to give you a exemption until January 12th. Sorry it's taken so long to process it, we're going to process it now. And this was on the 4th of January, so there's just like a week to go. And that's when they decided to tell me that I had the exemption confirmed and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm really glad I got the medical certificate the day before, because I was able to upload it the day before, and I said to her, look, actually, I'm really doing quite badly. I'm saying this a lot more calm than when I was on the phone with her. But yeah, no, I told her, look, I've been doing really badly. Here's some stuff that's happened, and my doctor's given me a new medical certificate. Can you have a look at it? And so she was able to approve that right away. So that's the big stress. I have 3 months now to, just chill and relax. And if I'm still doing badly, I'll just get another medical certificate until I can, either figure out my shit or, get onto the DSP, or I don't know what's going to happen this year. I feel like I'm really off to a bad start for this year. Anyway, I also talked to her about the issue of like the timing of calls, because I have told them so many times, don't call me in the morning and don't call me on my work day and the day after work. Yeah, but she said that, a lot of that seems to be done with an automated system that isn't smart enough to figure that out, which is frustrating. Like, I get it. The system is set up for people who don't have a job, so maybe I'm a bit weird in having at least some work, and they don't have a way to take that into account, which is frustrating because they're meant to keep me in work, not put more barriers in place by making me stay home for phone calls, and, adjust my schedule. But, she was trying to be understanding and tried to write some notes somewhere, but whether or not that happens in the future, I don't know. And then the other thing, my income and assets have been locked for ages, and I was getting really worried about that because, there was that robo-debt thing a few years back, which didn't affect me, but last thing I need is something similar. If they decide that I've made too much money or some calculation is off, even when it's not my fault, because I've been trying to report income and assets, whatever. I've been trying to, but they're the ones who locked it. So she fixed that for me and said, okay, you can, put it in later. And it seems like after the call, when I put it all in, she was still keeping tabs on my case and processed it straight away. So I think my account is still unlocked. So the next update I can do, but then I have to wait probably, I don't know how long, until they get their system sorted again, but I'll get to that stress when it comes to it. So yeah, that's basically what happened with Centrelink, and since that got sorted out, I've done better. And I went through my whole self-care kind of plan. I mean, that day mum actually took me to lunch, which wasn't part of the plan, but it did help me like just get out of the house and stop thinking about things for a while. And we bumped into one of her gym friends though, and then I had to put on that sort of everything's fine social persona, and it's just like I really did not need that today, but hey, whatever. The food was good. And then on the Thursday, I just kind of chilled most of the day, and then I had a friend come over and we watched a few movies, and yeah. And then the day after, that's when my brother took me on that high ropes course, which is the video I posted before this, I think. And I've still got bruises all over my legs, and still some of my muscles still feel sore, although it's getting better. I actually don't like. I was surprised to find that I wasn't as sore as I was expecting, because I've done the ropes course also at Taronga Zoo a few times, and quite often after that, I might have trouble lifting the kettle with one hand. I might have to like support or use two hands to lift the kettle. And then going down steps, I would often have to hold on to a wall. But this time, like the Taronga Zoo one, it's maybe a 90-minute experience, depending on how fast you go through it. That's what their estimate used to be anyway. I think it's closed at the moment. I don't know when it's coming back. But this one at St. Ives, we had a 2.5 hour time slot to do as many courses as we could. So we did all of them, plus that extra run at the end where my brother filmed me and we took photos of each other, just doing the courses on our own. Yeah, but so like 2.5 hours, that's more than the zoo one, and the courses were also more intense than the zoo one. But yeah, the next day I was sore, but I could lift a kettle with one hand and I had no problems going downstairs. So that was surprising. Like, am I doing better physically than I think? Or because like I don't do a huge amount of exercise. I walk my dog most days, and I also do my night stretch routine, and like I update it every now and then when I learn a new stretch, or depending on how I feel things are going, but it's not that intensive. So I'm like, how did I do better on this course than other ones? I don't like, a lot of the challenges are fairly similar in type, and some of them are actually a lot harder than at the zoo. So I'm just sort of puzzled, like, I don't understand how my body works. Have I gotten maybe not fitter, but maybe stronger? Or is it just a fluke? Or is it just something to do with the nature of the day? We were soaking wet. Like I had to bring a complete change of clothes. Like right down to underwear, because it was just that. Yeah, we were soaked through from all that rain. And and I was so cold, I was shivering, I couldn't feel my fingertips by the end, especially because like my brother went last and he was behind some kids sort of supervising them, because they didn't have an adult with them who was willing to go on that particular course with them, because some of them are quite hard. And so I was trying to film him, but it was taking so long, and so I'm like, even holding the camera to film and take photos, like I was just losing the fine motor control. And yeah, when we put our stuff, gave our harnesses back, the lady at reception gave us like hot water to hold on to, but we didn't get the feeling back in our fingers for quite a while afterwards. And yeah, because I was so cold, I went to the bathroom to get changed, and I was just so uncoordinated. It was so hard to like, yeah, put anything on. And when I was trying to put my dry, fresh pair of pants on, my foot started to cramp up while my foot was going through the leg hole. So then my foot's going at these weird, funny angles. And yeah, it was just like, oh my God, it took so long just to get changed. But yeah, I don't know if like something to do with that experience might have changed the way my muscles dealt with it. I don't really know how this stuff works. Just I'm trying to think of what's different, and usually at Taronga Zoo I wouldn't be climbing in that sort of ridiculous rain. We chose the wettest day, I think they said, since October. And that's not what the forecast said when we booked it, so yeah, I mean, it was an experience, but oh my God. And the raincoat I was wearing, like, I put it in the wash, and then when Mum pulled it out the next day to hang on the line, it was just like melted because it's like a 10-year-old thing. And it didn't even work as a raincoat. Like, at first it was okay, but when the rain really started up, it just had no, I was soaked through. And so that raincoat is dead, and Mum went out and bought herself a couple new ones, which she's pretty pleased about. But yeah, anyway, so that was that. And I think it was good to get out of the house and doing something physical that also uses my brain. I think I need to do more of that kind of stuff. It's just that it's so expensive. Like, it's more, if I tried to do that every week, it'd be way more expensive than going to the gym. I've tried gym memberships. I hate it. I need something that engages my mind. And so doing those obstacle courses, I do have to think about how am I going to get to the next platform. So I don't feel like I'm exercising in the same way when I do that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a shame that it's so expensive because that seems to be the one kind of exercise I can do without feeling like I'm exercising. Yeah, and because I had to focus less time to think about how my life is going. Saturday, I was so sore I didn't go into the studio, and I don't even remember what I did the rest of the day. I've not been taking as many notes for my psychologist while she's on holiday anyway. Sunday, I think I just cleaned up, and yeah, I'm kind of vague about what I've been doing. Yesterday I had a follow-up appointment with my doctor. And so, then like because the stress is done, I was doing better, so I presented a lot better, and I think, given how today's going, I wish that hadn't happened, because, so like, she's given me a referral for a psychiatrist who I actually should call their office, because we don't even know if she still works at this place, but I don't know, I need to sort all that out and try and get in to see someone. We talked about that, but I also mentioned, the inpatient thing again, because she gave me a place to look at last week when I saw her. And, so I've kind of narrowed it down to 2 inpatient clinics that I want to investigate before I make a decision which one I want to go. But yeah, because I appeared to be better yesterday, my GP was saying, like, she's not sure that going to hospital is the right environment for me, and the structure might be too much and all this kind of stuff. And she did that on the basis of she's had to visit someone who I think, from the sounds of it, is in a public setting. So she said not private, and I assume that means public. And so, I think she's basing it on that. But public is not the same as private in Australia. Like, public is when you are like in a really, really bad place and might hurt yourself, whereas private won't take you if you are that bad. So, there's some differences in the way things are done here. And so, I don't know if maybe she doesn't realize that, but also the fact that I was seeming better yesterday, made her think that maybe I don't need to go to hospital. But then today happened. So, I didn't sleep well last night. It just took me a long time to get to sleep. And, and then I was sleeping very lightly, and then Mikey woke up at 4:40 in the morning, and I had to chase him back to bed. And after that, I just didn't sleep. So, the most I could have slept last night was 4 hours, but it was probably less. And so, this morning, when I realized I was just not going to be able to sleep before my alarm went off, and I tried to sit up, and I'm feeling dizzy and just unwell, I called my boss, because I was supposed to work today, and said, look, I'm really not doing well. Can I do a half day and maybe come in from 1 till 5 p.m? But he's like, nah, just stay home and, take care of yourself, kind of thing. Which, like, is nice, but I also feel bad because, my last shift was way back in December. I cancelled that too, and I just, like, I don't like cancelling shifts so much, and it just makes me feel bad. And yesterday he had called me and said, oh, are you coming in and all that, and I was like, yeah, it's good, I'm coming, and we were talking about what to do, what we we're going to do today. And then this morning I have to ring back and say, I'm just not doing well. It sucks. And yeah, it's just not how I like to do things. I don't like to be unreliable and let people down in that way. But no, it sort of made me think like to be honest, I think I have to admit to myself that I have not been coping so well with the bonsai job. Like, it's a good job in terms of like what the job is. There's some problem solving kinds of stuff, there's some creative stuff, there's a lot of process involved, and, I don't really have to deal with customers so much. It's mainly about the trees, and yeah, but like physically, the day after, I'm always just so low on energy that I need the day to recover, which is a bad sign to begin with. Um, like because some of the things, like especially repotting, I think that's the one that takes the most out of me. Repotting and carrying anything heavy. So I started carrying less heavy stuff, but yeah, and then also if I'm doing a lot of fine pruning, I get a headache because like I'm focusing so close up, and it's in that weird space where if I wear glasses it's probably a bit too strong, but if I take my glasses off I can't quite see enough of the detail to know what I'm doing. Plus some of those trees, like they're kind of spiky and I don't want to get bits in my eyes, so it's probably better to have the glasses. And so I think it's just too much, and I need to look away more, but when you get in focused into it, it's hard to keep track of how often do you need to look away and get the eyes adjusting, and so I tend to get a headache from that, even if I don't get the more usual physical exhaustion. And so there's all these effects that come after doing that sort of work for a long time. But the other problem is, like the early mornings, and I'm just not coping at the moment, and especially coming out of the holiday period, having been so down and really struggling, I wasn't able to adjust my sleep wake cycle to be able to handle the early morning, and then my little brother yelling at 4:40, and it was too much. And like, when my boss first asked me to do the job, he was hoping I'd come in from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. He's a real morning dude. And I was just like, there's no way I can do that. So 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is when the nursery is officially open. But like even trying to make it in at 9 is often really difficult for me. And I've been making it work for the past, would be more than 4 years now. It was sort of late 2018 when I started. So yeah, I've been making it work, but it is a real struggle, and then days like today happen and I just can't do it. And that's why I said, like, maybe I can do a half day, 1 to 5, because I know, like, I could have, it's 1 when I'm recording this, but I would have been doing better if I could just have that extra bit of sleep. But yeah, like, the nursery's not open later, and also in winter, late at night, it gets too dark. Like, there are lights in there, but they're not great lights, and it's hard to see what you're doing. So I do have keys I could potentially lock up myself, but I don't know if that's right or if that's safe or whatever. I feel like there's not really a good solution for the business to cater to my sleep-wake cycle while I'm struggling with it. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like, I need to talk to my boss at some point and maybe suggest like just doing shorter shifts that start a bit later, or I don't know. But it sucks because, like, I do think it's been good for me to get out and do this job, and I think this job has been better for me than some of the others, at least on an emotional level. But in terms of, like, what I seem to be going through and the capabilities and, like, the emotional stuff I can push through if it was just pure emotion, but it's not. It affects you physically, and it's the physical effects. I'm sorry, I'm still in pajamas. It's the physical effects that I can't bullshit my way through the physical stuff. If I'm not doing well, if I'm feeling dizzy, if I have no energy, I can't force my body to do what it won't do. And, is it safe for me to drive in that sort of dizzy, sleepless state? Probably not. But yeah, that's the other thing. If I don't start driving more again, I'm going to lose my confidence again. I think I've already sort of reached that point, but, it'll be worse the longer that I don't drive for. And that's the only place I really drive these days. So, yeah, I'm just sort of feeling disappointed, and I don't usually feel down about myself. I usually feel down about the world, if that distinction makes sense. But a day like today, I do feel a bit down about myself. Like, I do have that sort of feeling of being a bit useless. Yeah, and that doesn't happen often for me, but because I have not been able to do my job today, despite all my determination or whatever, like I really intended to go to work today, and even trying to compromise with what my body is doing, what my whole system is doing, brain body thing, even trying to come up with maybe I could just do a half day, but no, I'm not working and I'm screwed up, and yeah, it's not a good feeling. And then, with my doctor saying, maybe you don't need hospital, she doesn't see when this happens, and I don't always, like, they're only short consultations. I don't have enough time to tell her, yeah, you say that maybe I shouldn't go, but then tomorrow this is what I'm going to be like, and I can't predict what I'm going to be like from day to day either, so that doesn't help. Yeah, it just sucks, and struggling like this, and it's frustrating. And if I think too much about it, I will go into another spiral, thinking about things that I would rather not think about in terms of my ongoing existence. Trying to dance around what YouTube will and won't let me say. Gosh, and I've heard about some of the more drama around that, but hey, it seems to mostly affect the big creators. I haven't really had issues yet. I suppose they'll get to me eventually, but I don't make my living off YouTube, so that's fine. I don't really make a living at all. Everything I do is just hobbies, and sometimes I make money, like, even with bonsai, because I can't work so much. It's kind of like a hobby job as well, and I'm just getting by on Centrelink and my parents being able to look after me, and it's just like, shit, I'm in my mid-30s and this is my life. I'm trying not to get too emotional when I'm making another one of these videos, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. It's been a shit start to the year. I've got to try and get in to see a psychiatrist, and last time I called the practice, the receptionists were not very helpful, so bracing myself for that. I don't know, it's so hard to get help, and the right sort of help, and I'm not even sure if the right sort of help exists for me, which is even worse to think about, so I'll try not to, but, I'm trying to do all this stuff, but I do think this year is going to suck, just because, like, it's going to be very much about trying to get treatment, at least for the first half, for the short to medium term this year. Hopefully by the end of it I'll be in a better place, because I'm tired of going through this. And yeah, if I don't improve, I don't want to think about that. Like, I still have an intention to do things like music and whatever, but if I have no energy to be able to focus on it, like, how can I get this stuff done? And it's been hard to keep going to the studio, which I'm going to give up soon anyway. I think by the end of the month I'll probably be moved out. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, life's not going well. And I'm sorry, like, I don't have more uplifting things to say in these videos right now. Hopefully I'll get back to other stuff, but this is just what I'm going through, and yeah, I don't know, like, if I don't say it on a vlog, I'll forget about it, because, like, I'm just not good at keeping track of my own life, I think, and my memories get a bit distorted over time, which I think is normal, but yeah. Anyway, so Solar Scribe, Chronicler, and yeah, everyone else, and yeah, I do want to do more music stuff, but I just can't right now. Just really bogged down with all this treatment stuff. And it's frustrating, because I remember a few years ago, like, I really was doing a lot and I was making progress. This is in the period of time when I wasn't on YouTube. I don't know if that says something about, maybe I do more YouTube when I feel worse. I don't know. I don't think that's quite right, but it's just, yeah. It's probably a shame that you couldn't see more of that when I was doing better, but, whatever, the past is the past. I just, I do wish I could get back to that more productive version of me, but I may need to take medication. And I guess like the one thing, if I need to like not do my bonsai job for longer, like I'm sure my boss would have me back later if I leave and then come back, or I'm a casual anyway. But yeah, the one thing I can think is if I do work less for a while, then maybe I should just try medication again. Because one of the reasons that I stopped doing it is like it was messing me up so much that I couldn't work. And that's one of the reasons I've been reluctant to try any. But if I can't work anyway because of how screwed up I am, maybe I should just try it again. The only thing I have to lose is time and going through the whole discomfort and not being able to do much else, depending on which side effect I get in the lottery this time. I don't know, that's something else to think about, and maybe that's what I need to get back to. Like, I do think I need some kind of medication, probably, because I do think that was a period of time in my life where I was more productive, even if I wasn't always, mentally well. I was still depressed at times and still struggling at times. I was still more productive than I am now and still doing more than I am now. I think I am getting a bit of a distorted thinking though, because like even as bad as last year was, I still did achieve a fair bit, mainly with art. Actually getting more art done, which most of you haven't seen. It's more of a thing I've been doing on Patreon. But yeah, like I think I have done more than I give myself credit for, but I know I did much more in the past, and that's what I'd like to get back to, because I'm wasting my life at the moment, and it does make it hard to think, why am I still here? Why am I still enduring all this? Which is not a good thing to be thinking, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's an update, and yeah, this year is going to be rough. My videos are probably going to be this sort of mood, maybe occasionally flipping into something better, but I think this is just the journey that I'm on. Ever since I got the schizoid diagnosis, it's been this rabbit hole of more and more stuff to realize about my life, and I'm sort of questioning my emotional reality. I don't know how to explain that, so maybe I'll make a video once I've figured it out, like I've articulated it, because I know what I mean, but I don't know how to put it into words. But yeah, so I'm sorry that this is what the channel still is, but it's just where I'm at. And I'll probably start playing some Nexamon again. But for now, stay safe, guys, and look after yourselves. You don't want to end up like this all the time. Bye.